Peace, family. I know most of my folks are asleep right now, and I'm sitting over here listening to these other folks on this other channel. So I'm putting this up here because I got to stay on this schedule right now. I got to stay on this schedule because, yeah, I only got a few days off, and then I got to get back out here and hit it again. And my headset, the cord just fell out my headset, so this is not going to be a long stream at all. All right, but what I want to do, this is for you guys when y'all come in the morning and see that I went live tonight. As y'all can see in the chat, I fell asleep. I came home, had me a couple of drinks, and passed out. I woke up about seven something. Um, but I figured I'd come up here tonight. Then when I get finished, I'll go back over there and listen to them jaw jack about what they jaw jacking about. Because I'm learning stuff just by watching other stuff. Um, so, what I wanted to talk about was something that I found out in the industry of trucking. Okay. And I didn't know because as a company driver working under a company, your dispatchers assign you loads. You don't necessarily know where those come from when you first start. And they tell you to pick up a trailer, either load it or empty and deliver it, and you get paid off of it. And that's pretty much the company side of it. On this side, the lease is just in between. It's still up under a company. We never took those lease trucks and took them from under the people that we had leased them from or were trying to purchase them from. So your trailer was still provided. Your loads were still brokered, and you had a little bit of a decision what you wanted to do. And they would say for a lease operator, it's no forced dispatch. Well, on this side, the 100% business side, okay, I had to go on and go to the mountaintop on this. I might slide down into a hill or a valley at some particular point, but right now I'm on the motor carrier side as an owner operator, which many of you know. So what happens here is, you get your own authority, all your numbers, all your credentials, all your registrations, all your requirements, all of this stuff, and then you get your equipment. Okay, you guys know that I have a tractor, which y'all can see my tractor in the thumbnail of this video. And if you're lucky, I say lucky because I chose not to buy a trailer because I knew I could pull people's loads, but I didn't know that I was going to find out what I'm seeing right now. So if you're lucky, you buy a trailer, and then you have to do your due diligence to get loads for that, whether that's a dispatching service, trying to get with brokers, utilizing relationships that you've been with in the past or whatever, um, however that goes. Or you start out from square one. I'm new in the industry, and I got to crawl before I can walk. And my crawling is everybody does not take a new MC. For some, my 25 years worth of experience driving and all of that stuff doesn't even come into play. All they're looking at is the business side of it, which you having your own authority, being responsible, X, Y, and Z. So some brokers and some shippers and receivers, if you would, because they utilize brokers, will not use new MCs. So you're limited, okay, to a few. And just like when I first started driving, there was you know, did you get your license? Did you get your permit? Did you get your license? Did you get your training as far as being able to drive the truck? Did you get your OTR training? And then you get hired with a company or something like that, or somewhere in there you get hired with a company. And then you got to do 3 months here or 6 months there. And when you get past the 2-year threshold, that's when all the opportunities open up. On this side here, it's the same way with the brokers, okay? And we're going to talk about the trailers, but it's the same way with the brokers. Um, Being able to use certain brokerage firms, 3 months, a new MC, fresh out the box. Then it's, you know, once you have 180 days or 90 days up under your belt, you get more people that'll work with you. When you get 180 days, more people that will work with you. When you get a year, more brokers will open up to you because they see the track record. It's kind of like going to the Small Business Administration and saying, I want to start a business. And they say, give me a business plan, but you need funding because you have no equipment. You don't have a plan. You just know you want to do business. At some point, you got to put that thing in motion and show that you have some longevity because, they want to see, as far as like Small Business Administration, they want to see what you, saying, oh, I'm going to make this is one thing, but actually showing the records of this is what I made is another thing. Okay, that's where the rubber meets the road. Okay, so let's try to get into this trailer situation. Whew. Okay, so I'm waiting for opportunities to open up, but what I'm finding right here, I ain't made that 90-day threshold. It's a motherfucker right here. Okay, it's a motherfucker. Um, so they have this thing, you get insurance, right? You have to satisfy your insurance for state and federal and all of this. And then there's this thing called a trailer interchange that you also put on your insurance. Well, I didn't know if I was going to need it. I didn't know how much it was. So when I talked to my insurance guy, I basically asked him, well, hey, well, what's the window? What's the minimum? What's the maximum? That kind of stuff. What's the average? And he gave me a low average. I said, yeah, let's do that. Make sure I have it on there. That way I ain't got to go get it, right? Well, straight out the box, I was told that what I had gotten was not enough. So I had to go back to my insurance company and said, increase it to this because somebody said it needed to be that, okay? Something close to that, right? And then I'm finding another one that says it even has to be more than what I have. So anyway, that's a whole nother ball of wax. But again, it's called the trailer interchange. And this is for when you're dropping and hooking people's trailers. Remember, I don't have a trailer. So of course I'm going to have to drop and hook, and people want to be secure that if anything happens to their equipment that you're hauling because it's not your own, that you're going to pay for it. You're going to reimburse them for any damages. So what I found out, this trailer thing, is that there is a, what do you call this? There's a side of trucking that I didn't know about, and when I was listening to a video, it said that it was the biggest side of trucking. I was like, what? What? And it's basically power only and loadout trailers. What you see on your board or on the thumbnail is just a picture of one loadout trailer. And this was just a trailer that needed to be transported from one place to another. Similar to the way that, let's just put it like this. If I were to buy a truck in California, and I know we're talking about trailers, but hear me for a minute with trucks. If I was to buy a truck in California from a dealership, and let's say I wanted a better tax rate, so um, let's say that Nevada offered a better tax rate. So instead of receiving that truck in California, I would receive that truck in Nevada. So they would have to have somebody drive that truck to Nevada to give it to me, to give me a better tax rate, if that's the case. And I do believe that when I was looking into that years ago, that was the case. So take it to the state line and pick it up, okay? Um, okay, so that's one situation with the tractor. With the trailer, like the one that you're looking at, is somebody who had purchased a trailer and needed it to be transported to their yard. And rather than using one of their drivers to do it, if you would, okay, they contracted it out for that trailer to be delivered to them. And that's what I did with this tanker. That was the first time I hauled a tanker like that. Okay. And it made me realize that some of the people that I see with them tankers on the back of their stuff, they might not even be people that operate those tankers. Okay. I do have tanker endorsements, but certain things I don't want to do. Okay. You're too old for that shit. All right. So that's one type of trailer loadout, if you would. Mind you, and it's not technically a loadout because that load, if you called it a loadout, what a loadout is a trailer has to be transported. A customer wants a trailer to be in a certain spot. And so you contract with whomever you contract with in order to take that trailer there. But in the process of getting that trailer from point A to point B, you can book your own freight. I didn't know about this shit. Okay. And I found out about it, and this is what I'm doing, but it's some funky shit in the works, right? Um, y'all heard about the one loadout trailer that I had. We still having problems with the money on that. But anyway, or some confusion about it. Yeah, that part. But anyway, the other loadout, let me see. Somebody buys a trailer, needs to transport it from a particular place, they pay for it. That's one. Um, Customers getting their new trailers, that's two. Then there's I didn't know about this one, it's called a power only loadout. Now, power only loadout is where you take a loaded trailer, a trailer that has already been loaded, and you hook to it, deliver it to its spot, unload it, have them unloaded or whatever, and then with that empty trailer, you can book your own load to get it back to the destination where you picked it up from um, by the deadline of when that trailer has to get back. Okay, so that's a power only loadout. It's basically a hook and drop, which I thought they were crazy when they were saying hook and drop. I said, it's drop and hook. It's not hook and drop, it's drop and hook. Well, on my side, on the driver's side, it's always been a drop and hook. No touch freight, this, that, and the other. But on this side, it's a hook and drop, meaning you hook to it and you drop that load off, or, load it with something and bring it back and then drop it off. So a power only hook and drop. Okay. Power only hook and drop load out. That's another one. Mind you, you got to find this shit too. Anyway, let's talk about this trailer shit. I've been getting hit with telemarketers, okay? Hitting me up to be my dispatcher, to dispatch me. And some of the information that's coming down from them, it's not all the way complete. If I work for a big company, I could look into that company. They got people I could go to. They could tell me about their business. I can search them out. I can see them moving. But when it comes to this dispatching part of trucking, it's like, who are you? Where are you at? And then when you go look them up, they don't have, for the most part, commercial businesses. They might be working out of a house. I could do the same thing in my back room here. Okay. Um, but some of them get you loads and, work with brokers and do things. And I'm like this, I want to find out how to do it myself so that I'm not dependent on someone else to do it, nor is anybody running my truck um, over my will of what I want to do. So all these different people have been calling me for months since I got my MC number and stuff. They've been calling, just offering all kinds of service. And then even after I got the service, people are calling to undercut or try to undercut services that I already have and that I've already paid for. And I would say about 60 to 80% of those people who do that are foreigners. What I found out as well is that the this power only side of trucking is the biggest side of the trucking industry, which I didn't know that. Um, and I think it's just a matter of finding the good, a good, as some people say, a good gig to work with. But I had, I'll make this kind of short because my headset is not going to last. So there's two more options. You can rent a trailer or you can lease a trailer. Okay. You can buy one, you can rent one, you can lease one, you can get a load out, you can do a drop and hook. Okay. All of this stuff, right? So the rental and leasing of a trailer, aside from getting it financed if you do it that way, but the lease and the rental part of a trailer, getting a trailer, most of the major carriers, um, Extra, Premier, I'm assuming Milestone, Pinnacle, there's a few more out there. Um, I can't remember all the names. A lot of them require one. When I called for the first one before we even got the truck on the road, they said that I had to have a commercial address. So that knocked me out the box for that. So a lot of them require that you have a brick and mortar, a commercial address and a brick and mortar. These are companies that are dealing with bigger companies who also may be leasing their trailers um, from these trailer dealers, if you would, right? So you have to have a brick and mortar. One said that you had to be in business for 2 years. Well, I would assume one said that you got to be in business for a year. A brick and mortar commercial business has to be registered at a commercial location, if you would. And I'm wondering, is that why some of these yards that you see might be mixed and mingled with a lot of different trucks? It is a commercial location, so that's where the truck is, and they could possibly use that, and several people could probably use that as a maybe a trucking service or logistics service or something like that. It's a lot of things out here, a lot of things that you might run into. But the day that I got that trailer, I say the trailer from hell, it, hey, welcome to the room. It, that morning I received a phone call, a random unsolicited phone call, someone calling me asking me if I wanted a trailer, that they could give me a trailer. Like, let me see if I could put this in perspective. When I'm talking to the dispatchers and the brokers, but mostly the dispatchers started to mention that we can get you a trailer that you can have for a week, and they would say $400 a week, or you can have it for 10 or 20 days. They would say that in the beginning. Then it became, we can get you a trailer uh, for so much a month, and you can have it for, you know, 2 months or something like that. But the initial one was, we can get you a trailer for a week at $100, or one said 250. When I started to roll the truck, then I found out that they were giving these trailers you can get for free. Okay, that having it for a week, you don't have to pay for it. So here's the first little red flag. Oh, so you're gonna charge me $100 for that when I can get it for free if I can do it myself, which I've been trying to figure out myself. All right, so that's one. Um, I didn't commit to any long-term trailer use because I wanted to see what was going on in this industry on this side. So the day that I got the trailer from hell, somebody called me unsolicited and told me that they could give me a trailer at a discount. I could have a trailer for I think he said 700 a month. It might have been seven, might have started out as eight, I can't remember, but $700 or $800 a month. But he would give me a discount, and I could have it up to 3 months, and he gave me a disc. He was talking about a discount for each of those 3 months, um, to the tone of $2,500 to $2,700 for those 3 months. Okay, so I had a dispatcher, and I was like, "What you think about this?" And we just out here. This is our first week. We haven't even gotten the second trailer yet, right? And he said, one of my dispatchers was like, not yet. Let's get some money under our belt, this, that, and the other, right? I said, okay, makes sense. Of course, I talked to my sister as well. And we were all in agreement as far as this, independently, but in agreement, right? So put that shit to the backside. Just thinking about it. Yeah, let's make some more money, and then we'll get a trailer for 3 months, possibly get a trailer for 3 months. And everything was sounding all good, right? So I ended up with another phone call about a trailer, and I can't remember when this one came through, probably a few days later. And I was like, matter of fact, the person who called me, I said no, ended up turning around. Or I told him, I said, let me think about it and talk to my people. He ended up calling back, so I understand that. But then he called back again and again and again. And then another person called and undercut him by $100 or $200 per month. Okay, from 7 to 5. I was like, God damn, they competitive over here too. And how did y'all get my fucking number? Okay, and no doesn't even exist sometimes in these folks' vocabulary. Yeah, like, no, I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm not looking for that. Well, we can do this, and can I ask how much you're doing this for? And we can beat that by. And this is how the market gets undercut. But anyway, several phone calls and emails. Okay, emails about this trailer situation. And my thing is, if I'm sitting up here driving and I'm answering phone calls on the phone, and by the time I get off, most businesses might be closed. And when I get up, they haven't opened yet. I don't really want to make a decision while I'm driving that truck because I want to be able to verify and read the contract, the terms. Okay. I want to be able to investigate if this is a legit business, if they're, you know, is this normal? Do you due diligence, if you would. So I'm not making a decision at the seat, in the seat. So the two gentlemen that got with me was saying basically that they had trailers all over the country to choose from, and that I could go to that location and, look at a trailer and decide. So my decision was, I'm not going to make a decision until I get back home. And what I'm going to do is get in my car when I get back home and go to one of these locations that they said that they had in Southern California. It could be Los Angeles, it could be San Diego, it could be Bakersfield. Let's just put it like that. Or Fresno, okay? That was pretty much the extent of where I was going to go when I came home. But we're getting this sales shit coming through for this trailer, okay? And as much as I say, I ain't home yet, and wait a minute, and I'm not making this decision, and we're not doing it yet, and no, we still getting this shit, all right? So one night I decided to look into, I told him, I said, send me information to my email about your company. And here was the thing that they said. You go and you look at the trailer and you hook up to it. Well, that's not going to happen because I'm going in my personal vehicle, so it ain't going to be no hooking up to it, okay? Um, I'm going to go look at it. I'm going to go examine it, okay? I'm not going to spend my fuel to go and do this, right? And I'm not going to do it in between loads unless it's an emergency and I got some time off. But either way, we're going to do it when we get home in my personal vehicle. But they said you can go and hook up to it. If you like it, you can hook up to it. And once you hook up to it, then we'll send you over the agreement for you to sign, and then you pay us. Okay? Mind you, I ain't seen nobody. It's just phone calls, right? So I told him, I said, send the information over here to my email so I can look at it. And do you have a business address, the website, any of this stuff that I can look at? So they both sent something. Remember, it's only two of them. One trying to undercut the other one. They both sent something. So one night I did some investigation on it. And the little address check, thanks to you guys on YouTube, y'all done shown me a lot about checking folks out, not doxing them, but really examining where they say shit is coming from, with the LLCs and shit, right? So some questionable stuff came up. One was, shit, you don't even have a commercial location, okay? Neither one of them did. Pulled it up on Google Maps. That's not a trucking business company or any of that stuff. Okay, I get it. You just doing stuff from your computer, you and your family. I just put it like that. I said, okay, that might not be too bad, but let me examine MC numbers, MC numbers, and for the most part, company numbers, company names. Then I ran across one, and mind you, um, this stream right here, I was going to do earlier with my computer, but everything, I came home and crashed out. I ate and crashed out, as I was going to show you guys something. Trying to figure out which part of this I want to tell y'all about. Ooh. So I looked at reviews, thanks to my daughter who showed me. Yeah, we go somewhere, she's like, Mom, the reviews on here say, yeah, and then we turn around and leave, or we'll go. So I went and looked up some reviews, and I found reviews on one. I didn't find reviews on the other one. I didn't find shit on the other one. Okay, the one that was trying to undercut the first one. Okay, but I looked at these reviews, and hmm, the first comment that came up was, Amazon doesn't rent trailers. I was like, yeah, I've never known Amazon to rent their little blue trailers. No, I haven't. Okay. And mind you, I told them, to send me information. So they did send me a couple of trucks, and one of them I looked at the tires and I was like, I know the fuck I won't. Okay. Um, Not for what I'm looking for. But anyway, so the other review, one of the reviews said that anybody who was leaving a negative comment as far as reviews were concerned were people who had damaged the trailer. I was like, now I know how that works. Ooh, you did this, you did that, and we're gonna charge you for it because you gotta be very careful. You did this, you did that. So those damages could be alleged damages or a cover up, or they could be actual damages. I don't know, right? Another one said that when he rented the trailer from the dude, from the people, from the company, from the LLC, whatever the fuck it is, that 5 drivers showed up at his house to get that trailer. And those 5 drivers didn't leave until he showed the paperwork. And after he showed them the paperwork, then he had to make some other phone calls, and that trailer had to be towed up out of there. Okay? Another review said that once you give them the money, you can't reach them no more. Okay? This made me think about when I'm out here driving sometimes and you see the police roll up on somebody. I've seen this a few times, several times. Police roll up on somebody, they chasing them down and arresting them. Okay? You would think, oh, what did he do? Did he kill somebody? Did he steal a truck? Maybe it's just an accusation that he stole a trailer. Maybe it's just an accusation, um, or a situation where the trailer was supposed to be back somewhere and he couldn't make it, and he took another load and they sent people out after him. it could be a whole host of situations, but it made me think about that as well, that some of those situations with the officers could have been about this trailer interchange shit, trailer rental and leasing, if you would, right? I said, okay, okay, it ain't everybody out here running guns and running illegal and stealing trucks. It might be this trailer situation. So, like I said, one of the last ones I saw was that after you give them the money, you can't reach them anymore. So, okay, I know how that shit work, but what happens with the trailer? How about the original owner realizes their trailer is missing and then they send somebody after you to get it because it's got a tracking on it? Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just saying because the big companies got tracking on their trailers. The ones that require you to have a brick and mortar, be in business for a while, and all that good stuff. But not these folks. Okay, not these folks. All right, let me see what else is in there. Okay, let's go to the paperwork, right? That's the one guy. Let's go to the paperwork. I asked him, and because I've leased a truck before, and I've leased 3 trucks, right? On my second truck and my third truck, I did the same thing that I didn't do on my first one because I was really all excited. On my first truck, I rode to this spot. A friend had told me about a situation that I could qualify for to get a truck. And we went out there and sat in the orientation. And when it all came down to it, they pushed the paper in front of us. Which truck do you want? Here's the paperwork. We'll go over it, not really in detail. We'll give you the highlights and the points. And you take the truck that you want, you sign the contract, and here's the obligation. This is what you're going to make. And that whole shit was bullshit. Okay? Some good experience in it, but it was some bullshit. Okay? Um, so that contract is given to you right there at the table. That's the first time you get to see that contract. The second time I rented a truck, they was like, yeah, well, your contract will be ready, blah, 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 and we'll sign it, and then blah, 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 blah. Well, I done picked out my truck. I done all my due diligence. And now it comes to the contract, and it's like, hold on, I'm going to read this contract because I don't have a lawyer on deck. I'm going to read this contract. So I sat there and I read every line of the contract to make sure it wasn't anything in there because you know what they say about us. We sign shit that we don't read and didn't read the fine print, but it was in the details. The devil was in the details. So I read that contract. Third time I leased a truck. They sent the paperwork, and it was me and this other guy. There was several people there, but me and this other guy. He had a wife and I didn't have a husband. So he was going to have his wife out there with him and I was going to be rolling solo. So the truck that I was going to get was a condo, whereas he was going to get a flat top. Okay. But he's going to have 2 drivers in his truck, and he may have his wife riding with him or whatever, but he's going to have 2 drivers in his truck and I wasn't. So I only needed 1 bed. Okay. So what we did was we switched. He really wanted my truck, and I thought his truck was nice. It would work. Okay. So we switched. We told them that we switched. Okay. That we wanted to switch, and they said it wasn't a problem. The pricing is different. Okay. Everything was supposed to be done. I get the contract, and they keep charging me for the condo truck as opposed to the flat top, which is actually cheaper. Because he was tall, I'm short. I could deal with the flat top. He was gonna have some issues dealing with the flat top. Okay, I liked the truck until it started doing shit. But so reading through the contract, I see that they're charging me for the other truck, but they have that I'm getting the less expensive truck. So I find it, I see it, I let them know. They say that they're gonna change it. They go redo it, you know how it is, and hit a couple buttons and move this out of it and put this in it and print it back out, that kind of shit. They send it back to me again. It hasn't changed. The money that they want for the truck is still higher than the truck that I'm going to get. They got me paying for the other truck still. We send it back again. They did it A third time. Okay. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not getting that truck. I'm not paying that fee. Fix this. They finally fixed it. Okay. So when it came down to this part about the trailer and them talking about, you see the trailer you want, you hook to it, you sign the legal agreement, and then you send us the money, I want to see the contract. I want to see the terms, because over the phone, we're not getting the terms. We're getting a deal that too good to be true. You can have this trailer for this amount of money for this long, and you know, there's no mention of what happens. Oh, we'll take care of it if something get damaged. Well, how are you going to take care of it? Where are you going to take care of it from? What do I need to do to get it to that place? How do I get in touch with your people who repair it? You know what I'm saying? Where are these details at? Okay, what am I responsible for? What are you responsible for? Okay, all the legalities that come into place here. None of that is really being talked about on the phone. And when I say really, I mean none of that is being talked about on the phone, other than we take care of the repairs. If anything happened, we don't charge you. Really? Is that how that works? Because that sounds kind of irresponsible. Because if I wrapped it around a pole, or if a driver wrapped it around a pole, you saying that that driver's not responsible? Or is it a way to get that trailer interchange money off your insurance? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So anyway, they send the paper via my email, or send the document, which really wasn't a document. It was 3 damn pages. Okay. And it wasn't a contract like document. It was just a few little things that was being said on there. And I would have to look back at my email to read it. But this is the thing that caused me pause. I remember one of the guys saying that I could talk to people who have utilized their service, and, you know, find out how successful, how they liked it. When I'm looking at the paperwork, I noticed the person who signs this has a particular area code. And I won't mention the area code, but they have a particular area code. The number one guy who's in charge of this, they have a particular area code. But ironically, the person who was getting the trailer had the same damn area code, and the city ain't that fucking big. And everything in me said, these are friends. These are people who know each other. Okay. This isn't somebody who chose to do business with you like myself, someone you've never met all the way across the country, this, that, and the other. You sent me a document with one of your friends on it, one of your folks who signed it. I said that I would have felt better if it would have had a Georgia, Texas, Florida, Chicago, any area code other than the same one that the guy signed from, because that says that that person, excuse me, didn't come from across the country to get a trailer, that he was somebody local. And the names, I'm not going to say that they were close, but they were of the same type of nationality and stuff. I was like, okay. So that causes me pause. And then the last one, as I think they ended up calling back the next day, and I had pretty much said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go find, see if I can get one of the leasing companies, or buy my own trailer, finance my own trailer or something like that. Hopefully I can go to the bank to talk to them tomorrow. Um, I'm not going to go with this. There's too many things that are up in the air for me. But they call me back. What are you going to do? You're going to get the trailer, blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. I missed a step. As I'm looking on the paper that says what the quote unquote terms are, it says that they're going to take their payment via Cash App. Who? Who? No, the fuck you not. Okay? They going to take their payment via Cash App. I'm like, that's almost like them scammers that tell you go down to Walmart and get a money card and send it over because they put too much money in your account. And they need some of it, need it back, and you got to. Yeah, I was like, you want me to send you this contractual money through Cash App, nigga? That's another thing that caused me pause. So anyway, check this out. There were some things that happened. I can't remember all the little nuances that just seem to sink into, like, I talked to you about this, but then I get this phone call about something that seems like it's like y'all know each other. I asked one dispatcher, I said, are all of y'all in the same office? Y'all in the same location? He's like, I don't understand. I said, y'all saying the same shit. Okay. On some other tip, y'all saying the same shit. Y'all came to work at the same goddamn time this morning, because they all hit my email up at the same, or my messages up at the same time with the same comment, same first two comments. Okay, no individuality, just same fucking comment they say, right? So anyway, I got finished looking at the so-called terms and agreements, and I believe it was the next day. I was like, I'm not doing that. I talked to my sister about it. And a little bit after I did that, I get this email. All this shit started popping through my email, and it's about this trailer. And I'm like, every time I tell these motherfuckers no, it's always something extra, um, like a 4-year-old. But why? But why? But why? Because I had even told him, I said, I'm sorry, the other guy just undercut you by $200. How can he do? He said, how can he do? And then he shut up like he knew the dude, like he's gonna talk to him in a minute. But anyway, I get this email. Are you gonna get the truck? Now, mind you, I done told this motherfucker. I done told him. Oh, here's a point. Here's a point. They got trucks all over the country that you can get. But when I talked to one of them, I said, yeah, I'm gonna look at one in California. He says he don't have one in California. I'm like, wait, that's not what you told me when we had the first conversation. When I told you I was gonna go to California, now you're saying you don't have one in California. You want me to go to Oregon or Washington? No, the fuck I'm not. That means I'm over the road doing that. Okay, I'm not at home. I said I want to be at home. I want to look at the ones you have in California. So, ironically, he says we have him in. He names off places, and he says Surprise, Arizona. I was going to Phoenix. I know where Surprise is. So I look at the one in Surprise. That's what the phone call should have been about. Okay, or the email should have been about. But because I got all these red flags, I decided not to do it. And when this email came through and he's like, well, what are you going to do? Or however he made that mention, I just told him, I said, I'm not going to need your services. Thank you for reaching out to me. That's clear. Next thing he said in the email, but why, ma'am? I said, okay, so he's sitting in front of a computer somewhere right now because of the way that came back, right? So I did this one. I did this. I said, because my son is going to buy me a trailer. Email went fucking silent. There was no, well, congratulations. I'm glad you found a way to X, Y, and Z, even if you didn't use my service. All the professionalism went out the window. And for maybe about 45 minutes, I didn't hear shit. But what I did hear in those 45 minutes was the other guy that was going to undercut him ended up calling me. I said, ain't this a bitch? They in the same office. It could have been these two motherfuckers right here that were playing with the signature line, on the contract, if you would. And the other one, let me give you about the other one, because his distinction wasn't that he was East Indian. I said they're both foreigners. It wasn't that he was East Indian, but he used a name that was Asian, okay? Like Japan, Hong Kong. I ain't gonna tell you what it is. And I couldn't find reviews on him, so I went to the Google, and like I said, Google was sending me some other stuff. I'm like, oh, this is not a well-established company. But it sent me to Facebook. Now, mind you, one of these also had another Facebook link, but it was in a different language. I was like, oh, they got Facebook in a different language that comes up on my English-speaking one. It's not this Facebook. Okay, we got that part. Not going there. But the second one said that they had a page on Facebook. So I went on over to Facebook and looked at it because I couldn't find any reviews. And this company that has trailers all over the country, like the other one, and has been doing this for a number of years and is so good at his business and blah, 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 with no insurance. Because they didn't even say that, they didn't ask about insurance at all, y'all. Okay? They didn't ask about insurance. And wouldn't you want to know that somebody had insurance if they were going to be pulling your trailer all over the country for 3 months? They didn't ask about insurance. Okay? So, this other one, I look at his on Facebook and he's got 14 friends, and it's only two people on there. And one of the people, neither one of them look Asian, they look Middle Eastern. Okay. Um, he's a photographer, and for the past 3 years, the only thing he's had on his page is pictures of himself all dressed up. I was like, you motherfuckers ain't getting my money. Okay. That's what's not going to happen. Because in my opinion, when I say about a word about trucking, this trailer shit, it was a scam. Everything in me says this is a scam, and this is something that new MCs need to watch out for because it sounds good. And sometimes when you're trying to get it, you don't care how you get it. Just let me get it. And what happens when that one little decision destroys your whole business because you didn't do the due diligence that you needed and you took a risk that you shouldn't have taken? Okay. Again, I told the one in an email, I'm not going to need your services. Thank you for reaching out. He comes back immediately. But why, ma'am? I go and say, because my son's going to buy me a trailer. And then the other one calls. These motherfuckers working in the same spot. I guess the other one wanted to see if I would have told him the same thing because I might have been pushing one off to get the one that was trying to undercut the dude that just called. They working in the same office, family. Remember, this all started from an unsolicited phone call because my stuff with my business is public. So, as I was doing some research, looking at some stuff, I found this one video talking about trailers and leasing because I called a lot of different people but realized that they were still closed because I was um, further east than they were, if you would. I was looking for Cali, but they hadn't opened yet. Um, but I found a video on trailer leasing, and this is where I found out that this power only and loadout situation is the biggest part of trucking, and I didn't know that on the commercial side, on the driver side. Just being a driver, I didn't know that this transporting trailers using loadouts and stuff like this, other people's trailers, is the biggest part of this damn business. Okay. Um, but the gentleman that I was listening to his video, he basically was saying that loadouts aren't the best thing to do, and I'm a witness to them not being the best thing because this is what he said. This is for the drivers. Share this with somebody who's a driver who's thinking about getting their own truck or whatnot. Okay. And shout out to the brother in Phoenix who told me about another company that I could go with. And I'm hoping to get a phone call back from them or to call them, hey DJ. So what he says on this one, where are we at? What the guy says on this one is that loadouts aren't the best because first of all, you have to deadhead from wherever you are to pick up the trailer. Then you have to deadhead again to pick up the load. Okay. Then you run that load for, let's say, it's got to be back to be at its destination in 7 days. I'm a witness to this because that's what I did. It has to be at its destination in 7 days, and them last few days are stressful. And then he says, sometimes you can't find a load to get to that destination because the market's moving. The hot spots are always moving. And you may have to deadhead to take that trailer back to that location by the end of that term. that you've contracted for with this loadout. I'm a witness to that because I had to deadhead 400 and some odd miles from Dallas to Laredo to drop the trailer off from hell. Okay. Then he says, and then from there, you got to find another trailer, which means you got to deadhead to that trailer, okay, to pick it up, and then deadhead again to wherever your load is at. And he said, out of these 7 days that you have a trailer, you only using that trailer for 5 with the load. And I'm a witness to that. So me and my dispatcher kind of got into it at one point because whereas it was a 7-day contract, he wants to spread it out to 10, which a couple of them have said that. Several of them have said that. And then at one point, it was a slight trying to negotiate for 20 days on a trailer. I'd have been pissed off if I would have had the trailer from hell for 20 days. Okay. So, yeah, shout out to the Bushes. Hope y'all find some stuff in there that y'all like. But anyway, so I understand why they want to stretch it out to 10 days so that you can at least get 7 days of running. But that's 3 days that you really aren't doing any running because you're trying to get this trailer back to where it's supposed to be. And here's the kicker with this one. Here's the kicker with this one. Some of them tell you that you can have the trailer for free for 7 days. You just got to take it from point A to point B. It has to be at point B at the end of the 7 days. But if you keep it more than 7 days, they're charging you $100 a day for that trailer. So let's say you got it for 7, but you have to keep it for 10. And I got lucky because my first one, I couldn't get it back on the Friday. I had to take it back on Monday, but they didn't charge me for it. Okay. They were nice enough not to charge me. They said if I brought it back on Tuesday, now the charges start to kick in. Okay. So that's that 7-10 day window. So that's one. Okay. They start charging you when you don't meet this obligation. The next thing is, here's another nuance in here that I'm finding, and this is just for the new MCs, the truckers that want to get into this, the young folks that want to, expand what they're doing and become that owner operator or whatever. All of these trailers pay different. As I just said, they'd give it to you for 7 days free, but dispatchers will tell you that they can give you a trailer for $100 fee for that week, up to $250. Okay, there are. And I'm talking about things I know right here. There are others, like I said, I've had 1, 2, 3, wait, 1, 2, 3, wait, 1, 2, 3. I've had 4 trailers. All 4 of those trailers paid something different, okay? The first trailer that I had when I first started out, it was free. And it was a nice trailer. It was from one of them big leasing companies. Second trailer I had, dispatchers negotiating $100, which has me confused. Like, he's like, you need to pay us more. I'm like, what are we getting paid for? Because the last trailer was free. This trailer was $100, a trailer from hell, and they still haggling over the fucking money. It's $100 and this is a trailer that got broken into, and this is the one that I think they were trying to steal. Never mind that, okay, and charge it back to my insurance. The other 2 trailers pay $500 and $600 for me to transport them. Remember, the power only loadout is the biggest part of the industry. And just to let y'all know, that tanker that y'all see in that thumbnail paid $1,600 for me to transport that. Okay, so I just wanted to share some things that people may not have known because I didn't know it. And even my sister was like, she didn't know some things, and I would have to explain to her what loadout is and this, that, and the other. But this is what we're looking at. Okay, there's some money to be made, but it is a hustle. Okay, and pre-planning is involved. And when you're dealing with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dispatchers and particulars, because the dispatchers got a particular agenda I had to tell him, I said, hey, I'm close to retirement. I'm not out here like a 23-year-old trying to get everything. I'm close to retirement. I ain't trying to run like that no more. Okay. But that ain't what they want to hear. They want to send my truck to the mountains with heavy weight on them. They want to send my shit all the way across the fucking country. Okay. Because they get a percentage out of what I make. I'm thinking about dispatching my own shit. Okay. Because I know what I need to do. I just needed to know how to do it. Okay. Um, what's the last part of this? Pre-planning and hustling. So what I did, I'm home. Like I was telling them in the chat, I feel like Oprah in The Color Purple. Miss Sophia home now. Okay. Got my book, y'all. I'm home. All right. Okay. I can stretch out a little bit. But what I did this time, we're gonna start out next week with another loadout. Okay. Something just said, hey, go look on the load board and see what you got, see what's going on, see where you're gonna get a trailer from, um, and so I started looking, and there was I stretched out the day of when I was looking for the loads rather than looking at tomorrow or the weekend or something like that. I stretched it out to when I wanted to come back because I didn't want to go right back immediately. There was some loadout trailers. One I was trying to get, they didn't give it to me, and it was the loadout. It was a drop and hook or hook and drop loadout, which meant I picked up a loaded trailer, brought it out to California, and I had 7 days to get it back. As a solo, it would take me 2 days to get from there to here. I would deliver it, then I would go home for a day and a half, a 34-hour fucking reset, or 48 hours, and then I got to get the load to get it back. Now, if I can find one in the opposite direction, which y'all heard me say, that'll work. Okay, but we're gonna have to search that out to find it. That was what I was looking at. But I wanted to find one that was either one way, something that I could get over here, and I wasn't responsible for anything on my days off. Because those days off, remember, those days are days you're not making money, and they're clocking those days. So by the time you get back on with this 7 day, 10 day loadout trailer, now they're gonna start charging you, and you behind the eight ball as far as payment is concerned, because you're owing, but you're not making at that point. Um, so anyway, I started to look for a trailer, and I stretched it out to the day that I want to go back to work. And there was a whole list of shit from the one company that I qualified for as a new MC. I said, well, I'll be damned. And so I looked on there, and everything was like on the load board, what you'll see is it won't have a dollar amount on it. When it talks about the rate, it won't have a dollar amount on it. And I was like, if y'all remember me talking before, it's like, how can you get a load and you're paying 32 cents a mile, or you're saying that you're not paying anything or nothing's there? And I asked my factoring company, hey, why is this? And they said, well, some of it's due to brokers being lazy and not putting the information in. But some of it it's just the loadout trailer. And they'll tell you that the weight is like 10,000 pounds with no dollar amount because it's a loadout trailer. They're trying to get that trailer from point A to point B, and they're letting you use it and put loads in it, make money before you deliver it. But there were two loads where they were paying for the loadout trailer. Y'all know what I did, right? Whatever day I wanted to come back, I adjusted it to the day that those paid loadout trailers come into play. So I'm already scheduled, just to let y'all know about my little business here. I'm already scheduled to pick this trailer up on the day that I'm supposed to pick it up and get paid off of that, and then we're gonna load it. And what I have is at least two dispatchers, if not three, that are looking for loads, and they could all be trumped by the load that I find. Okay, while I'm off, and pre-book that, because I would rather pre-book what I want to do than to have them doing it on a hit and miss and go here and go there and go there, and you don't know what your money is going to be, just like you don't know when you're going to be home, or all that kind of stuff. So I kind of want to pre-trip or pre-book all my loads, see if I can do that, and hope none of them cancels, so that I know where I'm going to be and when I'm going to be back home, and pretty much how much I'm going to make. So that's something that I'm going to be doing this weekend, because those dispatchers who are looking at my loads, even though I told them, hey, I got a load going home, I got a trailer coming out, they were still, do you need a load for today? And where you at? And have you dropped this? And I found this load, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I was on my way home. I had dropped my trailer, and it's like, I just load going to Washington. I don't give a fuck. Okay, I'm going home. What part did you miss? I go back through the text message and go, nigga, I told you this. Okay, well, where are you going to be on picking up your trailer at? Go through my message. Nigga, I told you this. Well, when are you come? Messages. It's right there in the goddamn message. I'm so tired of having to say things 2 and 3 times, but that's what I'm noticing with these dispatchers, because they don't want to listen to women, just like Darvis didn't want to listen to Dulcinea and Lysandra over there. Okay, but the dispatchers, when I said, hey, yeah, I'm doing this, I got this, and this is where the point I'm going to start from. Oh, they like I said, they want to run your truck. So one of them was like, yeah, and we can send you all the way to North Carolina or Virginia. Like, bitch, what? You don't even know where the trailer has to be back to, nor did you ask where the trailer had to be back to, because I booked it and they didn't. And that's the key too, that when I book it, they don't get their percentage. Now I'm fair, in as much as we were trying to find loads and I couldn't find one, and one guy asked, well, what about this load right here from point A to point B? And then I asked the other dispatcher that was looking for a load, what do you think about this for this fee right here? He's like, yeah, that's pretty good, but they said they were going to own. No, I said, what do you think about this load? He said, let me look. He looked on the same board that I can look on, that the other dude had looked on. And he said, well, they're only offering X amount. I said, no, they're not. They're offering this amount. And that's what the first dispatcher had told me. So the second dispatcher was like, well, call him and see if blah blah blah, because apparently either he was busy or he couldn't get through or whatever was going on. He asked me to do it, so I called him. I booked the load, and by all rights, I could have kept that percentage myself. But in fairness, the dispatcher who suggested it, I gave him that percentage, because I wouldn't have known about that load at that time had it not been for him. Okay, and he did negotiate a higher rate for it, or found out that they were offering more. Okay. I'm learning some shit, y'all. Like I tell my sister, I'm growing the fuck up. Okay. I'm growing up. Woo, this is some stuff. Um, but like I said, they started talking about, he started naming off places just like here, 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 here. I was like, and yeah, we're gonna do these big loads so that we can make this big money. I'm like, okay. Can we just, because my plan is I want to stay close to where that trailer has to deliver in 7 days. So I had an idea of, we're gonna do the Midwest next week, um, and try to work that area. And as soon as that other guy said Virginia and North Carolina, and I think he even might have mentioned Maryland and New Jersey, and I'm like, motherfucker, stop cussing at me. I don't even see them places no more. Okay. And I was like, no, we're not doing any of that. Okay. So long story short, out of all these dispatchers who are now in my phone, or should I say all these telemarketers that's in my phone now, texting me every morning, texting me all throughout the goddamn day. Um, Matter of fact, I'm home, and I'll let y'all know if I do another live how many of them call me tomorrow. Yeah, like at 5:30 in the fucking morning when they get up and get to work. um, Several of them are getting ready to be fired, or should I say, no longer utilizing their services. Because here's another one too. Um, the initial thing of all the dispatchers, trying to get with me and me trying to decide on the fly who to allowed to work with me and who I'm willing to work with. Some dispatchers, like second and third ones coming in, were like, yeah, it's a good idea to work with multiple dispatchers. And it is, because one of these guys, let me give you this. One of these guys, my main dispatcher, he was doing a decent job, but we were having trouble midweek. And so the second dispatcher found me something that got me out of a dead spot in Texas closer to a hotter spot in Texas. And it was for a little bit of money. My first dispatcher got mad because he said anything doing what we just did should have been $150 more. Okay, so I'm looking at my second dispatcher like, did you undercut me, or is it one of those it is what it is? Okay. Um, but that second dispatcher, when we couldn't find a load and was having problems with the trailer from hell, he found me a load to Washington State. So I took it. Okay. I took it. And I'm a little beholden to that person because, he got me out of that situation. But the weekend came and all them motherfuckers went home and I couldn't find a load and the load board shut down that I use. And Monday morning comes around. hmm and we trying to find loads because, I got to get this trailer to Laredo. And my number one dispatcher finds me a load. The second dispatcher had gotten me a load that delivered on Saturday, that but ended up being the load from hell, which um, I couldn't book another load to pick up for Saturday because it held my whole Saturday. So anyway, so I'm a little upset at him about that shit because they made it sound like you pick this load up, you drive it straight over there, they're gonna unload it. No, that load wasn't delivering until like 11 o'clock at night or 11:59 at night. I don't think I got out of there until like 3 or 4 in the morning, and it took my whole Saturday, so I couldn't book anything else um, for that day. So I'm sitting in Oregon at this particular point, and everybody's looking for a load because we know that we got to get this trailer back to Texas. And this motherfucking dispatcher decided that he wasn't even gonna tell me he went home. He just stopped looking for loads. So the other dispatcher found me a load, and we're out. This is where the trailer ends up getting. This is right before the trailer ends up getting. No, this is the load where the trailer got broken into. Okay. No. That's the other one. This is the load before the trailer got broken into. But he gets me closer, and I take it. And then on Tuesday, the dispatcher who just decided not only can he not find me a load, get me a load, or communicate that he's no longer looking for loads, he calls me back and texts me and asks me, "Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Okay, so we got to get you a load X, Y, and Z, and yada yada." And he's like, "I found this load is picking up in Oregon at the time, mind you. I probably was past Utah at this time by the time this shit happened. Okay, and so I'm like, how am I gonna deal with this shit? Because I want to talk shit right now, right?" So I said, "No, we're not gonna do that." And then he found another load. I said, "That's not gonna work because I'm not in Oregon." He's like, "What? Where are you?" I said, "No, I said I'm not in Oregon where you left me over the weekend and yesterday." He's like, "What?" yeah, bitch. Okay, where are you? None of your goddamn business. That's where I am. Okay. Because you left me sitting there. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to utilize different dispatchers, because in case one can't find anything, maybe another one can. But the thing that I'm looking at right now is most of these dispatchers know that I'm limited with what I can do and who I can work with. So we're all on the same goddamn board looking for the same goddamn loads. Okay. Now, one dispatcher, he was so frustrated trying to find me a load. It's like, what part of new MC are you missing? Because he kept sending shit and then turning around and saying, "Oh, they're not going to accept you because you're a new MC." How about you stop calling them because I'm a new MC? Okay. And he got to the point of asking me, did I have any friends who had an older MC number that I use? And I told him, I said, we're not going to do that. Oh, no, we're not doing that. Okay. I'm going to stand on my own, with this. And I know we cut some corners for the sake of the money. It's like picking up that trailer and doing what you have to do with it, regardless of whether it's legal or ethical or whatever. Um, and I figure, it's going to get where it needs to get when it needs to get there. Okay. It's, you got to go through the gears. You got to go through the steps. Okay. Um, That's where that smooth running is. Okay, that's sporadic. You're slamming on brakes. You're missing gears and jumping gears and fucking your. I'm not trying to fuck my business up because we can't run through the gears like you're supposed to. You know. So anyway, um, the thing I'm getting ready to do is I'm picking up my sister. I love telling them that one. Okay, well I was like, you know what? I think my sister's gonna dispatch me because she's done that before. They were training me at one job that I was with to be a dispatcher, but it was so hands on that I wasn't really learning what I needed to learn as far as it was just like, here. And they just threw a bunch of shit at me. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? I'm getting it a little bit better. My planning isn't the best, and it's hard to do that shit in the seat. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna bring my sister in as my dispatcher, and we've set up a private little thing um, for us to get things done and bring a few family members in that I have that work in trucking and do a few things like safety and business. And um, yeah, we're going to go sit over there while all these motherfuckers sit out here in the foyer fucking with people. I am so tired of telemarketers. So just understand that when y'all doing that telemarketer shit, I can hear y'all now. I hear it real good. Okay, I hear it real good now. Um, so anyway, I just wanted to come up here and share that with you guys today, as far as what the trailer was, what's going on with the trailer situation in trucking, and hopefully you can share that with some people that you might know who want to go into trucking, or some people who are going attempting to do this thing that a lot of people have jumped out here to do, dispatching. Okay, because it ain't shit to dispatch. When I saw the little 18 and 21-year-old who knew nothing about trucking, who decided they was going to buy a raggedy truck, put somebody in it, and then start dispatching, and then got taken for $10,000. I was like, you don't need no degree for this shit. But um, it's putting you in the door, and a lot of people have been put into the door of a business and this industry because of dispatching, the ability to be a dispatcher and dispatch from home. Um, but again, share it with your folks who might be in trucking, wanting to go in trucking, want to know about trucking, trying to get their own truck or their own MCs, because a lot of people aren't telling you the things that I'm telling you, because I haven't heard it. It's probably somewhere, but I'm understanding a little bit more how a lot of things are set up. Um, we got a website as well, and it's under construction right now. I won't tell you what it is. Um, but yeah, we're gonna move over over here, okay? And I'm gonna try to get all these people to stop calling this fucking phone right here, because they get on my goddamn nerves. Okay, I gotta go do not disturb and take my location off. you know. But anyway, and that still don't stop their text message. You probably would be. Yeah. It's yeah. With what you've done, DJ, and what you said you did, yeah, you probably would be. Okay. Because you know, when we talk about that trailer from hell, that situation with the trailer from hell, if y'all remember, I had blew 3 tires in 2 days, blew out my quarter panel and my mud flap hanger. and had to replace those. If y'all look in the picture, baby girl got her shit back. Okay, had those put on, but we had an interesting thing that happened when I was sitting up there in Oregon over the weekend. There was a chrome shop, and that Monday I walked down there before I got ready to leave, because Sunday they weren't open, and found the quarter panel and bought them. They didn't cost that much. Then when I get, where the hell was I at? I was in Colorado. I bought them in Oregon, didn't put them on until Colorado when I went to go have my service done on my truck. And the mechanic, it bent the pole, the post that they come in out of, the mud flap hanger, the quarter fender. So I had to buy that as well. And luckily I did buy that, okay, rather than having them, like one guy said, yeah, they're probably just going to have to heat that up and bend it. I was like, should we heat it up and bend it, or should we just buy a new one? And somebody recommended just get a new one. I was like, yeah, I think so too. So I bought the post for the quarter fender to go on. And so I'm over here. I have my service done. Asked them if they would put these fenders on as well. Of course, they're going to charge you for that labor. And they didn't charge me much. He says he's going to charge me a half an hour. So the guy who was doing my service was a young guy. He's probably like maybe 21. He probably looked like he's like 18. But he's probably in his early 20s, and he did my service on my truck. And mind you, after he did the grease job on the truck, it's got this squeaking in the left, on the left axle, which I'm gonna be under the truck later on today, if you would, before it gets too hot, trying to see if I can see what that squeaking is or where it's coming from. I don't know, it might be some, I don't know, ball joints, mounts, or something like that, but I hear squeaking that wasn't there before. um So anyway, young boy did my service and everything, the oil and filter change and the grease and all of this. And then he was getting ready to put the quarter fenders on, but he wasn't really familiar with that side of it. So he had to get a more senior tech to come over and do it, which involved bringing the welder out to cut it off and all this stuff. And under the frame wall, there's some lines and hoses and stuff that's on the inside of the frame wall, and that bolt, the backside of that bolt was behind those wires and stuff. Not anything major, just a matter of you gotta not fuck up other shit while you're over there trying to fix this. So he gets his more senior tech. The senior tech comes and cuts the post off. I hand him all the equipment, of course, the quarter fender and the post, and um, he puts the quarter fender on. And as he's finishing up the quarter fender, he tells me it only came with one quarter fender. It's got two of everything else, but it only came with one quarter fender. Okay. That part. Okay. So so he said it was only one fender in there. Now mind you, I bought this shit. This big guy brought it out of the stock room, put it on the floor, and then he brought it over to the desk. I paid for it. I picked it up off the floor, put it on top of my head like an African, and walked the block down the road back to my truck. Okay. And it was a sealed box. And it was supposed to be a pair in there. And I asked the lady with my sister on the phone if it was a pair, and she said yes, and all this other shit, right? He's saying there's only one quarter fender in there. So I go out and I look, and I'm like, I'm looking in the box like it's gonna jump out and show itself. It's not in there. I'm looking at what he put on there, and it's not there. And I'm like, where the fuck is the the other one at? So I immediately think that I got cheated in Oregon. So I called them up. Hey, this box that we have, I bought this on this day. Here's my receipt number, blah, blah, blah. And there's only one fender in here. Well, the guy doesn't understand that there's only one fender in there. And I don't understand why there's only one fender in there. He goes and gets another box and opens it up and looks at it. He said, yeah, there's two. Two comes in the box. And so well, I only got one. What are we gonna do about getting that second one to me? Because I'm here in Colorado getting it fixed, and I don't know when I'm gonna be back in Oregon. Okay, I don't want my truck looking all jacklegged, right? So he says that the lady that rung me up, I would have to talk to her. She would be in tomorrow, which means I got to leave this shop with a dirty ass old one and a bright shiny new one. Okay. We got the truck washed, but that wasn't going to cure that situation because they were two different models and all this other shit, right? So I'm not happy, but he says I got to get with this lady tomorrow. And I was like, well, can she mail it out to me? I mean, can y'all ship it to my house? You know, because I'm heading to California and I don't know when I'm being Oregon. So anyway, he says that she can handle whatever needs to be done and we can figure out what happened and all of this shit, right? Because I told him I wouldn't lie to you. I'm not lying to you. You know, I assume people can say, hey, I only got one, and then they sell one or, you know, do all kinds of shit. That ain't me. So while he and I are talking, I get out the truck and I go back to the quarter fender and I'm just looking at the work that he did. And I just happen to notice that this motherfucker done put two fenders on the same goddamn side. Did y'all hear me? There's two fenders in the box. He has taken the two fenders with all four screws, with the little plate that goes in between the post and the, you know, the round part that that sits in front of it. He done bolted both of them over there. It's two of everything in the box. It's a whole nother set of shit in the box, but they both bolted to the left side of my truck. And I went and got him. I said, come here. Just come here for a minute. And I went over to the quarter fender and I just, you know, just pointed to the where you can see that it was two. It wasn't beveled. That's two. He was embarrassed. Me and the dude is still on the phone. I'm embarrassed because I had to call him, and then the guy on the phone said that he was embarrassed because he didn't have to help you. We all felt like we were stupid. Okay, Poe Young is okay. I was like, God, you should have saw his face. He was really fucking embarrassed, and I had to keep telling him it's okay. Anyway, it's okay. Um, but they was trying to get me to pay for everything, and the brothers that was over there to go and pay for. I said, no, we ain't paying for anything because he just put two fenders on the same side. So this half an hour charge, he ended up working those things for about an hour and a half because he had to take it off, one of the bolts stripped and all of this, and then he had to take the other one off of the other side, put it on, put it together and all that shit. Yeah, but they only charged me a half an hour, you know, for it. But yeah, that's what happened with that shit. It's been interesting, y'all. Okay. It's been interesting. But shout out to the young guy. I know he's not on here, but the young guy, the first tech, because he told me, he said, I'm gonna do this here, you know, as far as the service was concerned. And then he said, and then I'm gonna check your diff. I've never heard anybody call it a diff before. Okay, because I thought he was talking about my def. Like, well, why are you checking my def? But he said he was checking my differentials. Good thing I took that truck in to have it serviced because he said that my differential was bone ass dry. Okay, bone ass dry. Okay, so we trying to stay on top of things. It's a learning curve to everything. Okay. Hey, yeah, I'm pretty sure if the younger guy would have done it, he wouldn't have put both of them on the same side. But he probably didn't have that welding, that TIG welding credential to be able to mess with that welder. Yeah, so we got old girl looking pretty good. She need a bath right now. Um, but again, I wanted to come up here and go ahead and get this off. Like I said, I was supposed to come up at what I say 5 o'clock, and I came home and I just crashed out. I had me some cranberry and vodka and took my ass to sleep. And it wasn't like I took my ass to sleep; it took me to sleep. Okay. Um, but the things that I have to do for these days off, got to stay on top of the business stuff. One of my brothers, one of my trucking friends, one of my brothers, um, when we ran into each other and was talking, he was basically saying that he had his own truck for a minute, and the thing that killed him or killed his business was the paperwork. He had somebody who was supposed to be doing the paperwork, and he relied on that. He used to rely on other people to do certain things, like, well, there's some other folks that I've ran into that they think women supposed to do shit. Um, but he had somebody that was supposed to be doing his paperwork, and they didn't do it correctly. So I'm still on schedule. I didn't want to drag all these little lives out that I'm doing if I'm gonna do several lives this weekend, uh, because I got other things to do. You know, like I was telling my sister, I said I'm gonna be like my father-in-law right now. My father-in-law, my late husband's father, when we visited him, he would make this coffee, and the coffee would be the color of uh, Texas tea. Okay, I'm like, I said, Pops was Leghorn and Froghorn, the cartoon. You know, when you see the two, hey Tom, you know the log, what is it, Leghorn, Foghorn, or whatever his name is, and the guy with the hat down on his face. They're going to work at the um, their industrial job, and they got their little black lunchbox and all of that. That's what Pops was like. And he had that kind of coffee. His coffee was the color of that black ass lunchbox. Okay. And what Pops would say, he would say, the way that he made his coffee, as far as the scoops are concerned, you know, 8 cups, he would give is one scoop for him, one scoop for his wife, for mom's, and one scoop for the coffee pot. And his coffee would come out black as shit. Okay, strong as shit. You know, truck drivers like strong coffee so we can stay up. But the thing about it is, mom didn't drink coffee. Okay, so you know, one for him, one for mom, one for the coffee pot, and that's what he made his coffee out for, it to come out black. And so I was telling my sister, I said my days are going to be the same way. There's one for the house, one for the yard, one for the business. You know, and then I take one day for myself. That's the way my day is going to come out, so that I can stay on schedule, so that this paperwork doesn't get ahead of me, because I got fuel receipts, repair receipts, permits that I paid for. I got to do all those expenses, get all my POs together, because that damn cheap ass printer didn't want to act right in the truck. So I was waiting until I got home to use the one that I have, get all those things filed away, see what these taxes are going to look like, you know, what I got to pay my driver and what she's supposed to be taxed. Don't tell her I said that, because I might cheat her ass. Um, you know, different stuff like that. You know, work on the, you know, the business side of this, and get all that organized. And then I think if I have time, we'll probably be looking at this website, trying to get the website and the back office stuff that needs to be done for my family members. See if we can get that situated. Maybe have my daughter come over, because I did have a private Zoom meeting, or a private StreamYard meeting with them, with a couple people, to show them what this load board looks like and stuff. And baby girl, my daughter, she was Johnny on the spot. She's like, they got a load, blah 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 blah. What you think about that, mom? And then I went and looked at it, because she was getting into the dispatching shit too at that particular point. Um, yeah, so that situation is not a big situation, because you know we got our emails at least set up for this. Um, what those things have to be done, there's something else right in there. Getting my I want to print out a I want to design and print out a expense sheet, or a running sheet that will work for me. I don't want to use anybody else's. I want to use my own, okay, for exactly the things that I need. So my days are numbered, okay? I'll be listening around here, but if y'all don't hear me or see me say anything, I'm trying to handle this business, okay? But as far as the trucking, I hope that this was helpful to y'all to know about this trailer exchange and how it works. And if any of y'all want to be so ever nice and loving to get your girl a trailer, y'all can finance it. Just, you know, we can work out some shit. Okay, I need a trailer. Okay. Yeah, yeah, stay on top of that shit, because excuse me, I let some stuff go as just as a company driver, and it was like when I saw what how far I had let it go, I was like, oh God, I'm glad I ain't got to do none of that shit right there, because that ain't my business. Well, I got to do what I got to do now. Okay. All right. So Family, I'm gonna get on off of here. Okay. And yeah, go see what they doing over there on smokes. Map it out. Principal pattern protocol. Yeah. Yeah, that part. That part. Okay. So that's it for me. Getting ready to have me another drink. I thought I was gonna come in and have me a whiskey sour. Hey, no, but I did have a real whiskey sour because my whiskey sour was this and this, and it worked. But then I went somewhere and I had a real whiskey sour. I was like, okay, I was close. I don't know if they put the third ingredient in there, but yeah, I thought I was gonna come home and have a whiskey sour, and that damn vodka said, "Hey, remember me?" Yes, I do. Yeah, and I went to sleep. Anyway, a old fashioned. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So, y'all, I'm gonna get off of here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for coming by. I know it was late. I know most people are asleep. But this is also being put up here for the ones who wanted were waiting for this information on yesterday. I apologize to you, but here it is. If I think of anything else, I'll come back over the days and, my off days and share something else with y'all. Okay? Siersha. Siersha. What's that, DJ? You'll tell me. I know you'll tell me. Okay. Little Peace family. Yeah, DJ, we got to talk about your comment that you left on my other one. Yeah, yeah. That part. Okay. Anyway. Y'all take care. We gonna go on and get out of here. All right. Um, have a good one. Don't let these fools fool you. Okay. All right, y'all. Peace. Let me find this outro. And we are out of here.